As we come together in this time, I want to just remind you that the goal of these times, these exhortations that we have, is not conviction. If that's what these times do produce, it's only a means to an end. We're not supposed to land there. The goal is not merely conviction, but transformation, change. Jesus said he consecrated himself, he died, in order that he might sanctify us in the truth, not so that we would merely be convicted, but that we would be sanctified in the truth, brought all the way there. So if we come together week after week, feel convicted and beat up, and leave thinking that just merely because of that something good is happening, we're off base. We ought to not derive pleasure from our pangs of conscience, but from holiness. And so that's what we're seeking together now in these particular exhortations that we focus on. To that end, the brief exhortation that I have for you this morning is directed to a particular area of speech, a sin of speech that all of us are susceptible to. All of us have committed, I trust, at some point or another. It's a sin that has the capacity to separate close friends, defile religion, incite quarrels, destroy our neighbor, dishonor God. I'm referring to the sin of gossip. And I implore all of us in the clear light of God's will to abstain from gossip. I can say to you with complete confidence from the Word of God that it is God's will for you, Christian, that you abstain from gossip. Though I trust I don't probably need to define gossip, all of us probably have a pretty good idea of what it is. Keep in mind that the reason it contradicts the will of God is that it relishes the denigration of a person's character. There's something that's sweet about it. Gossip settles into the discussion of a neighbor's faults. It savors the moment, and it eagerly gives insider information. It forms a little society of self-assured moral judges. It's a kind of camaraderie of criticism that we enter into together. Listen to what Proverbs 18 verse 8 says about gossip. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. So there's something that in the act of gossip feels like it's kind of like a delicacy. There's a sweetness, a sharing in something that's hidden and secret, and we have access to that other people maybe don't. The Apostle Paul also calls attention to this age-old sin as he describes humanity in its suppression of the truth and its exchange of true worship for idols. Romans 1:29, it says, "They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips." They are gossips. To be a gossip is to be a talebearer. One well-known Greek lexicon puts it this way. Gossip is derogetory information about someone that is offered in a tone of confidentiality. And if you just think about this can happen anywhere. This can happen in discipleship group gatherings. It can happen at community group. It can happen in marriages. It can happen in Christian marriages. Sometimes it's put forward under the guise of venting or bearing one another's burdens. The burden just happens to be this other brother or sister that you're having to bear. So we can come together and kind of baptize this denigrating of another person's character and spiritualize it in such a way that it almost seems virtuous. But ask yourself this question, whether you're with your wife or husband, with a group of people, one way you can know that gossip has happened is if you leave that group and the person that you've been talking about is the collective opinion of the group you were in, that person's reputation is lower, that they have a lower opinion of that person than when they did when the conversation started? So gossip, where are you? Have you entertained this sin of speech? The only righteous relationship that a Christian can have with gossip is abstinence. That's it. Refrain. Maybe that you should remember, God will not entertain a talebearer before his throne of grace. You can't have gossip and prayer. You can't hold on to gossip and hold on to prayer at the same time. They are opposed to each other. And God's not going to hear your prayers, our prayers, if we are continually holding fast to gossiping our brothers and sisters while going before his throne of grace and asking for things. We have to let it go. We have to let it go. So let's do that. Brothers, sisters, let's lay aside the encumbrance to our holiness, that is gossip, and let's refine our speech with words that give grace to those who hear, even give grace to those who hear about someone else. Let's refuse to enter into that camaraderie of criticism. When sharing about other people's, let us not only ask ourselves, is this true about them? You can gossip about true things. Rather, let us ask ourselves, does this build up? Is it excellent? Does it eagerly maintain the unity of the Spirit?